Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm here to talk about the best stock ever. I truly believe that in the history of the stock market, it's hard to come across opportunities like this on such well-known stocks. A little hint at what this stock is, but yeah, if you guys do enjoy this video, be sure to smash that like button, light it up. I'd really appreciate it. Also, subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy the content. We're making new content like this every single day, so be sure to stick around and let's get right into it. First off, the portfolio today, we're down $400, almost 2%. I'm not worried. I'm still, putting more money in, getting that, dollar value up. But I do have a little bit in there. Just wanted to show you guys that I kind of know what I'm talking about. But the stock that we're here to talk about today is Google. Ticker symbol GOOG, GOOGL. Google is severely undervalued for one reason. And not only one reason, but this is the main glaring reason. If we look at Alphabet, let's look at the stock right here right now. Let me zoom in on, or let me just hover my mouse over what I think makes this company unvalued. The PE ratio is very low on Google. You guys saw that. It's at 22.92. We have that, or 22.62. The PE ratio is very low. It's a very cheap company, big market cap. Three competitors to Google that are very similar companies, doing very similar things in very similar space. They're in the cloud space, they're in the advertising space. They don't have everything Google has, but I think they're pretty close. And I mean, look at their market caps. They're all very similar, some a little bit more than Google, some right below. What are their PE ratios? This one's 37, this one's 35, and this one's 35. So I think Google stands a chance to get a pretty, nice boost on their stock price pretty soon here, because their PE ratio has historically been much higher, and there's no reason it should be this low. I think you got to scoop up as much Google as you can right now while their PE ratio is that low. They're severely undervalued. I mean, the price is definitely, as this graph shows, lower than the value. And that's when you want to buy a company. That's how you make money in the stock market, when the stock price is cheaper in relation to the company's value and its worth, in consideration and relation to their business model and what the company is doing as a whole. And Google actually hit 52-week high today. Great to see. But let's get more into why we're actually investing in Google, because that's a reason. Okay, that's a reason why we're investing in Google, but it's not the main reason. The main reason why I'm investing in Google, why I think Google is the best stock, is because of one thing, and that one thing is Waymo. Waymo, Waymo, the autonomous car, driving system, platform, network, whatever you want to call it. But Waymo is these autonomous driving cars that are located in a lot of different cities, across the US. And they've been picking up a lot recently. They're very similar to Uber, but not quite exactly Uber, but it's a great comparison to make. So there's this article here that was actually talking about, I mean, I fact checked all of this. It's all, pretty legit. This article does know what it's talking about, and this is a little snippet I took from it. It says, case in point, Uber does more than 200 million rides each week, which is a lot of rides, but it is true. I mean, Uber is a very, popular platform. They have their own stock with a very high market cap. They're trading at a great multitude. This is a company that's great, Uber. So that's another great company, but today we're here to talk about Google. So let that sink in. If autonomous rides can capture even half of the market, that would mean 100 million rides per week, which, I mean, so Uber does 200 million rides per week. There's so many other platforms. There's Lyft, for example, which is also a very big platform. But now you throw a player like Waymo into the platform, which is able to undercut the prices on Uber and Lyft by a decent amount, a pretty good amount. They can undercut the prices because all that they're paying for is electricity and maintenance on their cars, which is not as expensive as paying a driver. But so if Waymo captures only half, which I think they're going to do more, that's about 1,000 times where Waymo is today. Think about that. Waymo is 1,000 times below that, and I think they're going to explode pretty soon here. So 200 million rides a week translates to about $1 billion a month, or over 10 billion a year at $30 per ride. So that's a lot of rides. And if it's $30 per ride, we're talking revenues of close to 300 billion a year. That's Google's revenue right now as a company as a whole. That's Google's whole revenue is around 350 billion. That's what they did the last fiscal year. And I don't think that's that far out of the question. And adding 300 billion to their revenue would make them, one of the biggest, money making companies in the world. No company has a revenue of $1 trillion, and that would get them pretty close. That would, and especially with the other aspects of their business growing as well, I think that would take them there. They'd be the first company to reach $1 trillion revenue. So this is another snippet from the article that I thought was very interesting. These are self-driving cars, no human drivers, no unions, no employee or contractor issues, and no human cost. And so we see this, their margins of 50%. Margins of 50%, 50, aren't unrealistic when you consider that driver earnings account for a substantial portion of gross fares in traditional ride-hailing models. This is very true. Margins of 50% are honestly a little low in my opinion. I think the margins are going to be higher than that for Google and Waymo. There's really not any expenses besides, like I said, the maintenance and the electricity, which they're working with a huge manufacturer. Then, Google has their ways of getting cheaper electricity. There's a lot of things Google does that, as the regular human driving our Uber car, driving our Lyft car, we can't do. And the thing that's scary for Uber and Lyft is that Uber's going to lose customers. I've seen it. I have a few friends, a few people I know personally in my own life. I'm sure you guys can relate. If you're using, an autonomous driving service, or you're just using like a ride share service, Waymo's taking a lot of market share, because I've seen a lot of people. It's only in certain parts of the United States, so you'd have to be from or near one of those major cities or in to use Waymo, which they are expanding pretty quickly. So I think that it's not going to stay that way for long. But Waymo is definitely getting a lot more rides than they were before, and this is causing people to stop using the Uber app. A lot of people have stopped using Uber and started using Waymo. So Uber actually is smart. They have a partnership deal with Waymo, which is good for them, because I think they'd go out of business if they didn't. So this is also saying if Waymo can capture about 1/3 of the $1 trillion autonomous rides market, which they can capture much more than a third. Name another autonomous driver, provider. I'll wait. It could generate annual revenues of around 300 billion. That's only just a third of this market. And with a 50% margin, that's a neat 150 billion in profits. That's, more than Google's making right now in profits as a whole, or right around there. What's the worth? At a 30 times earnings multiple, which Google traditionally trades around. That's why it's cheap right now. It's below 30. It's way below 30. It's at 22. This would imply an additional valuation of about $4.5 trillion for Alphabet, which is over double, or not over double, but right around, right under double of what their market cap is right now. So if you apply that valuation of 4.5 trillion to their market cap, they're worth 3 times more than they are right now. It's a $600 stock. So if you put $100 into this, it would turn into 300. You put 1,000, it turns into 3,000. And I think that's going to happen in a pretty short amount of time. And that's only the Waymo aspect. That's it. That's only the Waymo aspect. Everything else is still happening. Google is still growing their search service. Their AI, they're still growing their cloud service. There's a lot of things besides Waymo that Google's still doing right. So considering that Alphabet is worth roughly 2 trillion presently, this could take the company's market cap to over 6.5 trillion, or over $500 per share. And this is not crazy at all. This is very, doable. This is the kind of thing that is probably going to happen pretty soon here. And you see, if you're concerned, look out even farther, say 2035. I don't think it's going to take that long. I think by 2030, Google's going to be worth 3 times what they are right now. So I really would try to get into Google, get a good amount of money into Google. I think it's pretty safe to do. I wanted to show a chart right here as well as kind of the final thing to send you guys off. Alphabet's annual revenue this is in the millions. So it's 350 million. Or 350 billion right now, because it's in the thousands. But 350 billion, and they're growing it at a scale of around, I'd say probably on average, if you look at all these years, it's around 10%. Some years more, definitely. But they are growing it at around 10%. So that's, not bad. A little bit over 10%, actually. I'd say 15, not quite 20. But over 10%, around 15% is what they're growing their revenue. So if you add the Waymo in there and you're growing that by 15% as well, put it in a compounding annual growth rate calculator, do 350,000 times, and you're getting a return of 15% a year for the next 5 years. You're gonna have a company that's making $1 trillion, because then you throw in the Waymo revenue, and that's a 50% margin as well. You're not finding that anywhere else in the stock market. So Google looks very attractive right now. There's a lot of things that Google's doing right. It's very cheap P ratio wise, and they also have these new aspects of the business that are unscathed. A lot of people don't even know that Google owns Waymo. So that's, a big thing that's probably going to get out there, and a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh shoot, like I didn't even know Google owns Waymo. I need to get into Waymo right now." And that's how I found out. I looked up who owns Waymo. I mean, I was walking around San Francisco, and I was thinking, geez, these cars are everywhere. Everyone's getting a ride from them. I wonder, I mean, there's no one driving them. I wonder who owns this company. I'm trying to invest in them. I mean, they look great. The margins are probably really high. And Google bought them. Google bought Waymo and they own them. It's a great acquisition for them. I think that it's going to make a lot of money in the future. And yeah, it's a great company, great stock. I think that Google as a whole is great, but adding Waymo makes them even better. I do appreciate you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys so much. As I'm recording this video, I am at 400 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for getting me there. 500 next. I can't wait. I really do appreciate you guys. And if you did enjoy this video, be sure to smash the like button. Also smash that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell if you do want to see more videos like this. I appreciate you guys for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.